Nothing like what the Lakers have done this offseason has been done by any other championship team in recent NBA history. Going into this offseason, it was expected the Lakers would re-sign everybody and just run it back, but somehow, some way they got insanely better. Today we're going to go over every move the Lakers made this offseason and how each one of those moves made this team so much better. Now if you guys are new, make sure to go down below, hit that subscribe button. This video took me a while to make. It only takes you about 1 to 2 seconds to make the time I put into this. Totally worth it. So go down there and do all that good stuff if you haven't already. Now let's get into the first move the Lakers made this offseason. Starting off with, in my opinion, the most important and the best move they made this offseason, and trading for Dennis Schroder. Schroder is the perfect player for this team, and what we had to give up isn't even in the same stratosphere as the value of Dennis Schroder. I think we can all agree that Danny Green was way too inconsistent for us Laker fans liking. And even though he did win us a couple of big games and make a couple of clutch shots throughout the season, Schroeder's an all-around guard. And he's one of the best finishers in the league. Next to Chris Paul, he was the guy who led the Thunder to the playoffs last year, averaging 19 points a game and nearly 40% from 3. This team now has a dynamic point guard next to LeBron and AD, and this may be the best thing that the Lakers did this entire offseason. Wherever Schroeder goes, he's satisfied with his role, and that's what I like about him. Humble, very agile player who's coming to LA and is gonna ball out. Next move the Lakers made is re-signing Cantavious Caldwell-Pope. As much as KCP has messed with us Laker fans' hearts, he came in clutch in the playoffs, and I don't know if LeBron would have a 4th ring on his finger right now if it wasn't for KCP. He's an amazing perimeter defender, and he played a big part in the Lakers being a top defensive team last year. AD locking up the paint pushed us to tops in interior defense, and then when it comes to perimeter, you got Danny Green, KCP, Avery Bradley, and KCP was that glue guy on the defensive end for the perimeter. He's been a little bit streaky and rocky over his time here in LA, but he just got a year to mesh with AD, and I think he now 100% feels like Staples Center is his home. Great to see KCP resign and play a big part, probably off the bench next year for this team, but it doesn't matter if he starts or come off the bench. KCP's gonna have a role regardless. And re-signing players to a championship roster is key because those players helped you get to that point. So if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But the Lakers broke that rule in a good way. Next move we did is signing Wesley Matthews. Now this was the most underrated thing the Lakers did this offseason because moves like this were buried and became irrelevant so quickly because of the other blockbuster things the Lakers did this season. I'm gonna say it, Wesley Matthews is a better Danny Green. When Danny Green gets hot, he gets harder than Wesley Matthews.
Hey yo, what the f?
But Wesley Matthews is the more consistent shooter, and he can shoot that rock. He's a dynamic 3-and-D player. He's a hustler. He hustles more than Danny Green. He does everything better than Danny Green, if you ask me. And getting that replacement for Danny Green's playing style for the veterans minimum is a steal. Now I know the numbers may not show the greatness of Wesley Matthews this year, but trust me, he's like a Mikal Bridges. His game isn't defined by numbers, unlike some other players in the league. He hustles, and he's that glue guy that we need to replace Danny Green. What a great signing, and I can definitely see him starting for this team. You gotta applaud Rob Pelinka on this one, come on man. Next move Lakers made was signing Marc Gasol. Now when we traded JaVale McGee, we all knew this was coming. Marc Gasol drafted to the Lakers, quickly traded to the Grizzlies for his brother. Having a former defensive player of the year off your bench is a dub. I don't care if he's washed. I don't care if he can barely run. You have a former defensive player of the year, a veteran, who could be that leader off the bench and that glue guy. We trade JaVale McGee, who, you know, was good, but obviously not really a starter on a championship team. And that got proven later as JaVale's minutes started to decrease. But Marc Gasol is an obvious upgrade from JaVale McGee at this point in their careers. But this is going to be a dub, having that veteranship on our team. Next move was the most surprising and the one that made me yell the most. And I think y'all can predict what this one is going to be. Signing Montrezl Harrel on a mid-level exception. Now I'm going to take one for the team here, alright? This is unfair. Trez in a starting role is probably a top 7 or 6 center in the NBA. Put up 19 and 8 off the bench last year for the Clippers. He's just an animal in the paint. Getting Trez wasn't even in anybody's brains. Like that wasn't even a thought that ever came to be. But look, the Lakers have been lacking at center position, so now we get one of the most dynamic interior players in the entire league. Energizer Bunny, everything. Clippers fans have a right to be mad. You know, one of your glue guys off the bench, you know, 6th man of the year comes to the better LA team. I get it. Y'all have a right to be mad. But Rob Pelinka is a genius. People are acting because it's like, oh, he's just going to the better team. No, this wouldn't happen if Rob Pelinka and the amazing front office of the Los Angeles Lakers didn't make a good pitch or didn't give him the right idea. Trez liked what he saw in the front office, and that played a big component of why he came to the Lakers. He knows he's going to get a lot of hate, and he did it anyway. That says something about our front office and how we persuaded him in the best way possible. Now, this move we did here was the first domino to fall in the Marc Gasol signing. Trade JaVale McGee to the Cavs for Jordan Bell and Alfonso Mckinney. People are like, oh, we did that to clear cap to sign Marc Gasol. Sure, we did, but people are underrating what we got back in return. I'm not going to say Alfonso Mckinney is great. I'm not going to say he's amazing, but he's an Energizer Bunny who knows how to play defense. We could have easily just traded JaVale McGee for a 2nd round pick and maybe some G League player, but no, we managed to get 2 players who provide good depth for this team. I'm not saying Jordan Bell is going to be in the rotation. Alfonso Mckinney is a great defensive stopper who's lengthy, 6'7", 215, and he's a depth piece that you could rely on if you need. Jordan Bell, also an Energizer Bunny. He's been around the league a little bit, but similar to Alfonso Mckinney, in emergency situations, you can definitely trust Jordan Bell. He's been on a championship roster before. He is very young. He's pretty solid in the paint, and he's respectable defensively. So, even if we didn't get Marc Gasol, I would say this trade is a dub. If we just went out there and traded JaVale McGee for Alfonso Mckinney and Jordan Bell for no reason, that's still a W in my eyes, and it still makes sense. But on top of that, we made room to get Marc Gasol. This is the fattest W I could have seen. Shout out to Rob Pelinka, man, doing great things. Last but not least, we got the Marquis Morris signing. I don't have too much to say about this, but all I have to say is Marquis Morris was great for us in the playoffs, and he made a lot of key plays when it mattered most. He had one game, I'm pretty sure was against the Rockets. I think he put up 26 or something along those lines, which won us the game. Again, when you win a championship, it's good to re-sign some of those players who contributed. Get them back on the roster because they deserve it. And Marquis had an offer from the Clippers and he decided to stay with the Lake Show. You gotta respect him for that. I see Marquis being at the end of rotation, getting some minutes for us because he deserves it. He played very well for us in the playoffs, and I'm excited to see what Keith can do this season. Anyways, guys, that'll do it for this video. We went over all the brilliant moves the Lakers have made this offseason and how these moves could make or break the next season for us. As we know, teams around the NBA are getting better. The Nets just got 2 of the best players in the NBA back from injury. Bucks are getting better. Clippers are trying to improve. Every contending team has gotten better, so that means we got to get better. And we did that in a way that I didn't even think about coming into this offseason. If you're not subscribed, make sure to go do that for all NBA news and analysis on all the new things and hot takes coming up. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay tuned.